In this experiment, we're going to control the blink rate of the LED using the potentiometer. Like I said, the potentiometer is a resistor that's variable. And by using this as an input device and having the Arduino measure how much resistance is going through the circuit, you can tell the Arduino to cause the LED to blink at a different rate. Now, luckily, the kind of potentiometer that I'm using has 3 pins that are perfectly spaced to fit into a solderless breadboard. That's really the kind you should find for this experiment. If you have a potentiometer that doesn't have this, then you're going to need to solder wires onto the leads of the potentiometer and actually plug them in to the spots that I'm telling you to plug them into. And there are plenty of great soldering tutorials online. The one that I recommend is Mitch Altman's Guide to Soldering. If you type in Mitch Altman soldering, you can find his great comic book guide to soldering. But I highly recommend that you get a potentiometer that has 3 pins that are already spaced to fit into a solderless breadboard. We're using the setup from the previous video where we have the 220 ohm resistor, the jumper wire, and the LED already plugged into the Arduino and the solderless breadboard. And then we're going to add the potentiometer. And so where we're going to put it is in pins 1, 3, and 5 in column J. And it will just fit in just like that. And then what we want to do is now attach some jumper wires. So what we want to do first is attach a jumper wire from row 5, and it can be really anywhere in row 5, over to the ground rail. And that's the blue ground rail. And that's going to give a ground connection to the potentiometer. So then we want another one from the first row to the plus 5 volt pin, power pin on the Arduino. So I'm putting a red wire over to a pin that's labeled as 5 volts. There's one right next to it called 3.3 volts. We want it in the 5 volts. So now what we've got is we've got power going through the potentiometer from 5 volts connected to ground. Then we have one more jumper wire to put in, and this one we want to put into row number 3, and then we want to connect that over to analog pin 0, and that is A0. So now we have everything connected. What we need to do now is load up the sketch on the Arduino that lets us use the potentiometer to control the blink rate. So what we do is, in the Arduino application, go to File, Examples, Analog, and then select Analog Input. Okay, I'm going to close our blink sketch that's behind it. Don't save it. And we have our analog input sketch, and you can see that it's a slightly longer sketch. Don't worry about what it says. We're just interested in the hardware right now. And again, upload. So press the upload, and then we can see that it's uploading. We're waiting for it to upload. And it's done and ready to go. Okay, so we're not seeing much of a change here. Let's turn this knob and see if we can get things to happen. And it might take a while to find this spot, depending on the value of your resistor. But you can see as I turn it, I'm increasing the blink rate faster and faster. And at a certain point, it looks like it stopped blinking completely because it's just on. But you can see you can really change the blink rate. You can make it go very slowly. To much more quickly. And so one thing that I would recommend to do as a next step here is to take a look at this analog input sketch, and you can see that there's a pretty good description about what's going on. And this is a good way to start practicing and learning what a sketch is about, and seeing, just don't be afraid to play around with the numbers and change things around and see how it affects your circuit. That's what this is all about. That's what these exercises are about, is to change things around and see how it affects your circuit. So the next exercise that we're going to do is learning how to control a servo motor with a potentiometer. That'll be in the next video.